Is it delayed? I don't think it is. I bet Jessica's yelling. Yes, you're missing one. The regular answers, yes.
Okay. Good evening. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, am I echoing? Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the Bulletin Board Town Hall and mailing to the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating that this meeting would take place at the Town Hall at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, July 17th, 2019. Roll call.
Daniel Bear?
Here.
Elaine Becker? Here. Cheryl Bergstein?
Here.
Diane Aglo? Here. Austin Halbert?
Here.
Tony Mazzarino?
Here.
Mark Matzel? Vice Chairman Hugh Serrano?
Here.
Chairman Rebecca.
Here. Thank you. First item on our agenda tonight is approval of minutes from June 19th, which we did not have. So, the next item on our agenda tonight, that will be carried to the next meeting? Okay, great. The memorialization for 1900940 East Willow. And open that up for any comments anybody had regarding memorialization. Ed is one. Hearing no others, please.
Ms. Davitt pointed out to me that there's an error on line, well, it's my line 142, it's her line 139, and I have no idea what line it is on yours. But the pole-mounted fixtures are on poles that are 20 feet in height, not 23. 23 sounded like a nice number, so I put it in there.
But we're gonna amend it to 20.
We're gonna amend it to 20.
Okay.
There's some on at 12 feet, are they're different lights than on poles?
Yeah, these are the three new
The new.
Different
high
location?
pole-mounted fixtures, right.
Okay.
So with that change,
Great. With that change, does anyone want to make can you please read for us those who are eligible to? Everybody's eligible. Anybody like to make a motion to approve?
Second.
Daniel Bear?
Yes.
Elaine Becker?
Yes.
Cheryl Bergstein?
Yes.
Diane Aglo?
Yes.
Austin Halbert?
Yes.
Tony Mazzarino?
Yes.
Mark Matzel?
Yes.
Hugh Serrano?
Yes.
That's all.
Yes. Great, thank you. I have two applications, just the only difference is I have two agendas, but we're gonna move on to application number 19011, Congregation B'nai Jeshurun. We invite you to come forward, please.
Madam Chairperson, members of the board, council, professional staff, Lawrence Levitt of the law firm Levitt and Cercillo attorneys here in town. All of the legal notices, newspaper publications have been served and filed. The applicant has received the agency reports, all of which have no objections. The engineer and planner's comments will be dealt with during the testimony by the witnesses. What I propose to do, since it's been a long time before I've come before this board, is give the board a brief overview of the nature of the applicant and the application itself, following which I will turn the meeting over to Mr. Cercillo. So we are proud to represent Temple B'nai Jeshurun, which is one of the oldest congregations in the state of New Jersey. It was established back in 1848, and it is the largest Reformed temple in the state of New Jersey, having a stellar renowned reputation. The congregation serves over 1,100 families and runs a myriad of activities from early childhood through senior citizen programming, aside from the religious services. Temple B'nai Jeshurun has been a citizen of Millburn, Short Hills, beginning in the 1960s with the migration of the Newark population to all points westward. This particular iconic structure was built and first occupied in 1968. Over time, there have been expansions both of the principal structure, addition of an outdoor chapel, memorial garden, nursery programs, and the like. And the temple has made application to the township, both this board and the Board of Adjustment, on multiple occasions over the past 50 years. Tonight's application is a waiver from one section of the ordinance, your LED lighting ordinance, which does not point blank permit LED lighting, which I think we all will recognize to be state-of-the-art lighting. And I just happened to notice, walking across the street from my office here, that's what you have outside, right here along the street front, in front of Town Hall. Anyway, the temple's driveway access lanes and its parking areas and the respective walkways from the parking lots to the building are all serviced by the original 52-year-old lighting fixtures, a major portion of which are no longer operable and beyond repair. So the plan is to replace the outdoor lighting with the modern LED lighting, which will mean fewer structures, fewer stands than are presently out there. It will be much more economical, much more efficient, and it will, and this will go into a little further, enhance the safety and security of the temple and its grounds. The witnesses will go into the whys and wherefores and the benefits to satisfy the statutory requirements. And at this point, as I said earlier, I will turn the file over to Mr. Cersillo, unless the board has any questions on the opening remarks.
Thanks. No questions on the opening remarks. If we can move to address any waiver requests earlier, I would appreciate it if we can follow that. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Anthony Cersillo with the firm of Levitt and Cersillo. I'd like to call our witness, Adam Alexander.
Good evening. Swear me in first.
Will we be sworn in? Yeah.
Yes, I do. Adam, A-D-A-M, Alexander, A-L-E-X-A-N-D-E-R.
Mr. Alexander, tell the board the academic and professional credentials you have in the field of landscape architecture.
Good evening. Yes, Adam Alexander with the firm Spiesel Architectural Group. I'm a landscape architect in the state of New Jersey. I've been practicing for over 18 years. I've developed lighting plans for that same period of time and have testified before boards and municipalities throughout New Jersey, Essex County, and others. It's the first time here before you and this board. I'm here to testify, discuss the lighting application.
Madam Chair,
So we're hearing you as an architect.
Landscape architect, yes.
Thank you.
And is there a separate license as a landscape architect that you hold?
Yes, sir.
And is that in New Jersey?
I'm licensed landscape architect in New Jersey.
And when did you get that license?
I think I've been holding my license for over 9 years, I believe.
And it's currently active?
Yes.
Okay.
I also hold licensure in other states as well, New York, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, there are only a handful of waivers. First is the absence of filing existing protective covenants, deed restrictions, and easements. The other is the absence of showing improvements on the survey. you explain to the board why those items have very little bearing to the lighting plan being presented tonight?
Sure. I'd like to enter an exhibit before we start discussing the lighting plan. Would that be acceptable?
We're not
Board.
discussing the lighting plan yet. We're explaining the absence of submitting existing protective covenants,
Okay.
deed restrictions, and easements, and the absence of showing improvements on the survey. Why are those allowed to be not submitted in your testimony of the lighting plan?
What we are showing you is only pertains to the lighting application.
So they're not really relevant?
They are not relevant to our application.
Madam Chair, I move that these waivers be granted.
Thank you, and we do voice vote on waiver granting?
Well, we have one other one, I think, not on the checklist, but a request for a waiver from the EIS.
But
I
think
don't
it's
think
a
that's
minor
required
site
because it's a
plan.
minor
site plan.
Okay,
But I
You
agree.
just noticed for it just in case.
okay, thank you.
So do we do voice vote if we're,
I think we do voice
or
vote.
voice vote? Okay, do we have a
So
motion
moved.
to, all right, I'll second.
Daniel Bear,
Yes.
Elaine Becker,
Yes.
Carol Bernstein.
Yes.
Diane Aglo.
Yes.
Justin Halper.
Yes.
Glenn Hutchinson.
Yes.
Mark Matzel. Mary Sawyer.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Alexander, what do you have here presented for this board?
This is an exhibit I'd like to enter in of the lighting plan itself.
Great, and we will mark it.
A1, with today's date, which is 7/17.
I know you requested it to be here. Is it possible that we move it back so that members of our audience who are here are able to view it as well? Yeah, is it okay if you just put it just behind, just locate it behind Mark, just so that I want the members of our audience to be able to see this? And you can move over, of course. Just- Does this match anything we have in our packet, or is this a new exhibit tonight, may I ask?
What's different,
Adam?
what's different on this exhibit than what was submitted?
This is a exhibit that was made for this hearing this evening. It is showing you the lighting plan. It is also showing you some additional information that I will be discussing as it pertains to the proposed
This is
sign.
different than what we received in the packet.
Correct, but the lighting information and summary table is exactly the same as what's shown in the package that was submitted.
So, thank you.
What is different on this exhibit than what was submitted, specifically?
Specifically, we added an image of the existing conditions along the northern property line, which is shown on the exhibit. In this location right here. As well as the sign, which was shown on a different sheet in the set. I added it to this just to make it easier for everyone to understand what the sign is going to look like. And we also added a picture of the existing sign that's located on South Orange Avenue.
Thank you.
Mr. Alexander, why does the outdoor lighting system need to be replaced?
So as Mr. Levitt had explained, the lighting system is dated. Portions of the system do not work. When you enter into the site, the entrance and exit roadway, those fixtures do not work at all. And in the parking lot, about 50% of those fixtures do not work. So there is a safety issue as it relates to pedestrian circulation and vehicular circulation, what is driving the reason for us wanting to replace the fixtures. There are currently 49 pole-mounted fixtures, which are parking lot fixtures. We'll call them shoebox type fixtures. And there are also ornamental fixtures that are present on site, which are, they look like glass globes. And we are planning to remove those fixtures and propose 32 pole-mounted light fixtures, which is a reduction of 17 overall total, and still be able to achieve safe lighting illumination levels throughout the site. That's a 35% reduction in the amount of lights, pole-mounted lights that we're proposing. Those pole-mounted lights are 20 parking lot fixtures and 12 ornamental fixtures. The light fixtures that we are proposing are LED. They are state-of-the-art technologies, which is common in the industry. For a variety of reasons, we're picking LED fixtures because of their color rendition, their lifespan, as they last longer than conventional high-pressure sodium or metal halide fixtures, and also the cost, as well as these energy savings that's found by using LED fixtures. The LED fixtures are also full cutoff, meaning all of the LEDs that are in the housing of the light fixture are directed down. There's no sky glow. We are also trying to minimize all light trespass beyond the property lines. There's some other light fixtures that we're proposing, but they're pretty minor in nature. There's bollards that are existing at the entrance of the site. Let's see here. They're located in this vicinity. This is the synagogue here. This is the entrance to the building, and we're removing those existing bollards, and we're putting new ones in. Those are also LED. We're also there are some step lights that are used throughout the site that have been outdated and haven't been working for many years. We're going to remove and replace those as well to give some more illumination along some of the pedestrian walkways.
Can you go by the board and scan the property, showing the board where the lights are being replaced, including the sign,
Sure.
including the parking lot?
Okay, just so everyone's familiar, this is South Orange Avenue here. There's an entrance road that comes in to the site in this location, and there's also a road that functions as a in and out also on this side of the property. There's an existing sign that's currently on site. The sign, this is the sign. This is a photograph of the sign that I took. As you enter into the site, there's these ornamental light fixtures. Those are the globes that I had mentioned that come into the site that aren't functioning. And as you enter into the main parking area, which is this field here, that is where the more shoebox fixture is. As you come around, most folks are traveling into the site and coming around for drop-off of children that are coming to early care, or people that are just getting dropped off at the main entrance. And that's where we're going to have the ornamental fixtures. Those are around the entrance, and also there's an outdoor seating area as well. And then these are the bollards. In the back area, there is an existing chapel. There's existing light fixtures that are there now that do not work. As part of our improvements, we're going to be reinstalling those light fixtures in that location.
Mr. Alexander, is there any natural landscaping that could or does serve as a buffer to adjoining properties?
Yes, sir. Along the northern property in particular, there is an existing board-on-board fence, and there's existing vegetation. On Exhibit A1, I'm showing a photograph that I took of the site, which is basically generally in this location. This was taken in the wintertime, and you can see there are existing evergreen trees that provide that buffer, as well as trees that are behind the fence. This is also going to help with any light trespass and view of the light itself.
What time will the outdoor lighting be on?
So the lighting will be on from dusk to dawn. So when it starts to get dark, the LEDs will turn on, and they will slowly ramp up till full illumination. And as it becomes daylight, they will also start to turn down.
And is there a current time schedule as well?
The current time schedule is to turn them on at dusk to dawn. They're done manually, so someone's physically turning on the switch to turn them on because the system is not functioning properly. Our new system will have a time clock. It will also have sensors that will help turn on the light fixtures if it turns in winter months when it gets darker earlier. They'll adjust.
Can you address the comments that the planner has asked you to on page 3? There are 3 sections on page
Yes, sir. So in the letter that we received from Phillips Price, dated July 12th, 2019, signed by Paul Phillips, there are 3 comments.
Address them.
So comment 1 is asking for testimony be provided to address the intensity and visual impacts of the proposed LED lights as compared to the existing conditions. And I believe I've just explained why on how we're not going to be increasing the light. In fact, we're actually going to be removing light fixtures and still maintaining that same intensity. And with the buffer along the northern property, we're still minimizing any visual impacts. Item number 2 is discussing that the ordinance requires a maximum of 10 foot candles at any point. There are a few spots on the lighting plan that do exceed that level, and the reason for that is the bollard lights, which I had indicated are at the entrance to the drop-off. They're about 3 feet off the ground, and the intensity directly underneath those bollards is a little bit higher. The software that we use to generate the lighting plans is very sensitive, and it's directly under the fixture. We're exceeding that 10-foot candles. But the parking lot itself, the ornamental light fixtures, any of the pole-mounted light fixtures, we are not exceeding that 10-foot candles. As far as shielding, all of the LEDs are within the housing of the light fixture, so house side shielding is not necessary. The technology has come a long way where they can really pinpoint where the light is being distributed to the ground level. And item number 3, is discussing our new sign. The ordinance allows for a 5x3 or 15 square foot sign is what we're proposing, shown on the plans that we've submitted on our exhibit. We are putting the sign in the exact location that it exists currently. The comment is that the sign should be set back 10 feet from the front yard property line. And we're here to say we're going to put it directly in the same location of where it is today.
And now, to the extent there is no overlap on the township engineer's report.
So yes, we're also reviewed and in receipt of memorandum dated July 15th from Ms. Martha Callahan, Township Engineer.
Can I
Yes.
apologize for interrupting you,
Sure.
but if I could pause, because just making sure that I'm hearing regarding number 3 that we just spoke about, that I understand your testimony is that you're not moving it any closer to the property line, we're maintaining it in the same position, but that's an existing sort of, it's non-compliant, so is it a variance request then if you're going to be within the 10 feet, which is what the
Because you're removing the sign and replacing it with a new one, so
New,
you
larger
may
sign.
have prior non-conforming status, but you can't rip out the old one and put a new one in the same place.
Would the sign be effective at 10 feet?
Where is it now?
How far back is it now?
It's right here.
Yeah, but how far back is that?
5 feet.
I'd say it's about 5 feet currently. I'd have to measure it off the plan to get an exact dimension.
Not quite sure it
We-
matters how far it is back now. It's 10 feet. 10 feet is 10
We would be willing to move the sign to be compliant, so we're outside the 10-foot area.
Okay, thank you. That would, I think that would satisfy the
Okay.
ordinance. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting you.
No apologies. So going back to the letter from Ms. Callahan, Township Engineer, dated July 15th. Item number 1 is discussing the uniformity levels. There are some areas, we're providing the uniformity levels, which is shown on the exhibit and also the documents we provided for pedestrian areas, off-site areas, the chapel area, and in particular the entrance and the parking areas. Some of the numbers, wherever we have a 0 value, it doesn't provide for a minimum, maximum, and an average, but we're really focused on the safety and proper illumination within the entrance and the parking areas. When we have areas underneath the bollards that have really high values, it also skews that average. But generally speaking, in the parking lot and the entrance drives, we are providing ample light. It's safe and is properly distributed throughout the site for pedestrian vehicular traffic. That also is discussed in item number 2, where we have a couple of points that exceed the 10-foot candle maximum allowable, and I think I've discussed that point with our bollards. As I'd mentioned, the light fixtures do not have house side shields. They function, the LEDs function properly to distribute light properly. There is one light fixture in particular that's located here on Exhibit A1 that we are going to relocate or move a little bit away from the property line so that we eliminate any light spillage that could potentially be over the property line. The values are very low, but we're going to move it a little bit so that those values are 0.
Will these be operated on a photocell or a timer?
Both. Photocell. There'll be photocells on the light fixtures and a time clock. And then I think that was item number 3. Light fixture I should be relocated to prevent spillover. I believe that's it's actually fixture C. That's this fixture right here. The fixtures that are indicated as I, you can see that their light is being pushed forward and isn't impacting the property line.
I believe you had a question regarding that.
Yeah, you talked about minimizing any spillover or affecting neighbors and so forth. So, can you give any assurance that these ones that you're moving will not have the spillover effect?
Well, we're gonna relocate this one light fixture, and there won't be any light spillage on the light plan.
So it only relates to one fixture?
You're calling C.
Yes, that light fixture we're gonna move so that it's the values are 0 at the property line.
So, I just want to clarify, your testimony is there is going to be no spillage onto neighboring properties.
The light plan will show 0 values on the property line.
Okay. Now, in lay language, as opposed to engineer speak,
So it needs to be brought to sense.
There will be no light spillage over the property line.
Okay.
And I think we've addressed the comments in Ms. Callahan's letter.
Do you have anything else that you want to add?
Not at this time.
No further direct questions.
I'm just a little confused. I understand that you're explaining why you're doing what you're doing, but I think the point of some of these is that it doesn't meet the ordinance requirements. So I don't know what you're saying. You're saying, well, care about them, or this is what we're putting up, or you're seeking a waiver from them?
Waivers of those.
Okay, and I'd like to be a little bit more specific, because trying to write a resolution when people are saying, well, you know, this is this and this is that, I can't do it.
Waivers.
Okay, so there's waivers that are being requested, and can we be very specific about which waivers we're seeking? Because I can't put a generic provision in that you're asking for a waiver for any place where the light spillage or where the light average is beyond the 10-foot candles. I need specificity.
No,
That's
no,
true,
Ed, he's not,
Because
he's
it's a
not.
waiver of the incandescent right now.
That's
This is
right.
not our
Right.
ordinance
We
yet.
don't have the ordinance
No,
adopted.
we don't have the ordinance yet, so it's still a waiver of the original ordinance, of the original lighting ordinance.
And I thought that's what I was saying. Did I not say that?
Nope.
You didn't say that one, I think you were focused on the fact that it exceeded the ordinance, but we're already within.
Or exceeded what Martha has in her
Yeah, that's-
report.
yeah.
I think that's what you were looking at.
So we're already discussing the premises, this waiver request, because
Right.
it's a different type of lighting that is.
Okay.
But Martha, did you want to speak to
Well,
that?
the only thing that we have in our current ordinance, the only thing they'd be in violation of our current ordinance is item number 2. And the other 3 items were comments.
Okay, well, I obviously wasn't clear. With regard to item number 2, which says in your report, it exceeds the ordinance maximum allowable of 10-foot candles, is there a waiver being requested, or are they moving it, or what are they doing to address it? That's what I need to know. And I don't think that's been addressed.
I can
unless missed it.
We will modify the lighting plan to be conforming with the requirement to not exceed 10-foot candles per the code.
And you will do that by those 3-foot-high bollards, which is where your testimony was.
Correct.
They were exceeding it, so you'll dim it or remove it.
We're currently proposing 6 bollards in that area. We'll reduce the quantity of bollards to be conforming.
Okay, so no additional variance sought there.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Waiver. Excuse me. I was hearing whispers. Thank you. Any other questions from the board for this? Okay, so I'm gonna open it up to members of the public who, oh, I'm sorry, one more, okay.
The sign illumination, I know we've got this other one here. It appears that illuminated signs, street graphic signs
So
shall not be
because that
illuminated.
is not yet adopted, that's for discussion
Right.
later, we're not gonna focus on that.
No, I understand it, but here it's struck out, and so that would mean that
That's
it's
the
currently
existing
in.
ordinance?
And we're gonna put in
Okay.
an illuminated sign now.
So the sign that we're proposing is in lieu of the existing sign. The existing sign currently is illuminated. It is not working with a floodlight. What we're proposing to do is to keep the existing electric there and have it be internally illuminated. Basically a light box so that people can see the letters and the text. You will not see the light source. It will be internal to the actual sign
So I
itself.
do understand the question being asked. An indirect light source not seen.
Okay. I don't know where they're reading, but yeah, I'm just reading.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So is that satisfies your question?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
That's what, in
Yeah.
accordance with it.
No, thank you for, okay. Additional questions for, okay, great.
I have just
Go ahead, Mark.
a real brief question. I think this is, this is sort of a snowball question, but there are a lot of Jewish communities that have increased their safety and security protocols in this magnitude. Something that I was under, New Jersey is the third, it's ranked third in the nation for anti-Semitic incidents. Last year, there was nearly 2,000 attacks against Jews and Jewish institutions across the country, and which has been basically 200% increase from 2016 numbers. So the question I'm asking is, she mentioned security, and that I believe 50% of the lighting
overall about a third of the overall site lighting and 50% of the parking lot lighting. And you're correct. So that is really the main mission that's driving this, is to provide adequate light for safety, for better security. And there's also going to be some cameras that may be installed as part of the security of the synagogue. It is a target. It's known as, it is a synagogue in New Jersey, and the facts that you're discussing are, I would imagine, to be true, but this will make the site feel and operate more safely.
Thank you. Opening it up to members of the public who have questions for this testimony specifically regarding the lighting. So if you like, so I will ask you to come forward and,
I just have a quick question.
you're not providing testimony, you're just gonna ask a
Oh,
question?
no, I just have a question. Do I need to
Okay,
stay
so
here?
you state your name and your address, but you don't have to be sworn in if you're going to.
Okay, my name
ask
is
a question.
Lee, and my address is 25 Deerfield Road in Shore Hills. Quick question, because I wasn't so clear. So, are you saying that you're going to replace the number of lights? You're not going to increase or decrease, right? The number of lights?
We're decreasing the amount.
Decreasing, okay. The other question I have is that the northeast property line, are there lights there? That's the property line between, yeah, there's a little brook there.
So, yeah, on that northeast property line, there's a field that's over here.
Yes, yes,
There
Are there
are light
lights?
fixtures there currently, and we are removing those light fixtures.
there will be no lights.
No lights.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for this witness from the public? Okay, thank you. And further witnesses, right? At this point, I'm gonna open it up then for any comments. If anybody from the public has any testimony or wanted to provide a statement, you can do so. Okay, thank you. So we need to review everything that we heard. As we heard.
We do.
Is Councilwoman making a closing? Is Councilwoman making a closing remarks? Is Councilwoman making a closing?
Yes. Council, are you gonna make closing remarks before we?
I'll highlight
We
the-
deliberate.
Yeah, I'll highlight what was agreed upon.
Thank you.
The congregation will comply with the 10-foot setback for the sign. The fixtures will be by both photocell and timer. Fixture C will comply with the zoning ordinance. And the main purpose of the application was for the security of the synagogue and the day-to-day safety for its members. And we believe this project will do that for the congregation. And we hope that you would grant these waiver requests.
Great, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so I heard those three major changes that were outcomes from our discussion. And a revision to amend this sign setback to 10 feet from the property line to comply with our ordinance. Modification of the lighting plan to not exceed, which I didn't hear you, not exceed you said you'd move the C to comply, that's the one high one, but also the 10-foot candle bollards, okay, great. Okay. And the fixtures being photocell and timer is not any change to your application, but that's just a confirmation of, okay, great. Council, anything else that you?
No, other than the usual conditions that we have, these would be the ones that I would have. I'm just, I need some clarification, and I apologize for this, on the sign. What, the sign is going to be an illuminated sign,
The zoning officer.
and,
It's indirect illumination, which is permitted.
okay. Thank you. I have nothing, other than the lighting will be on during the dusk on the photo cell. He mentioned the photo cell, but I want to make sure it's during the dusk.
Right. And confirming that's permitted overnight lighting
Right.
in that zone. We don't have anything that speaks to it otherwise. Okay. Comments from the board, discussion, concerns?
I have one comment. I did go to the synagogue for a movie night, and I did notice how dark the parking lot was coming out, and my husband and I commented, so I think this is a very good plan while you're doing this.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve this minor site plan with conditions as just discussed?
Yes.
by myself?
And the waivers that.
The waivers as
Et
we
cetera, et
already.
cetera. So moved.
It's a great motion.
I'll second that,
And
with
where-
the et ceteras. And here, there choose.
And where?
Yes.
Elaine Walker,
That's what.
Yes.
Joe Versi.
Yes.
Diane Green.
Yes.
Preston Helfer,
Yes.
Tony Vachon.
Yes.
Mark Mansell. Rudy Salerno.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes. Thank you.
Madam Chair and members of the board, if I could request one additional consideration for the board, is a adoption of a temporary resolution stating the waivers, the basis for it, so that the applicant could move on this project effective tomorrow, as opposed to waiting for a month that the adoption gets memorialized because of the high holy days that will be coming. And if we wait the entire period, it's unlikely the project would be concluded.
The board has taken action tonight by its adoption of the motion. The resolution is simply something that memorializes the board's action that, as we do routinely. I don't know what the practice is in the municipality. There are municipalities that, so long as the board has adopted, has moved to adopt the resolution, and it's going to be a memorializing resolution, and they've taken the action as of tonight. There are municipalities that they will accept that representation without the resolution, because the resolution is.
You could do, I think the only way to caution them that you're doing it at your own risk, and on the chance that somebody would appeal,
Oh,
you know.
but the risk is assumed.
So we don't have to do anything.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good news is holidays are late this year. Thank you. Okay.
So Mr. Levin took this to get you out, huh?
May I interrupt the board meeting to say hello to some old familiar, not old in that sense, familiar faces?
You can have a moment. We do have other new business
Yeah,
on the
I'll-
agenda. Okay, so, yeah, you can shake the right hands.
Are you? Well, I know you're this one, most of the time.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yes. I'm glad to see you brought your hat, because I'm used to seeing you with a hat when you're, yes, out and about, you know. The hat man.
You better tell your partner to quit telling everybody you're
Well done,
retired,
Beth.
because
Well done.
you look good.
Thank you,
Good
but I
seeing
think
you,
we're
Larry.
not done. The ship is tight.
Right.
Okay. Great.
That was entered.
Okay, we have one item of new business for this evening. You should have, we received it, and you have it in front of you as well. Section 512 are amendments to our lighting ordinance. So, how appropriate on the night that we received,
They should
You
stick
know,
around.
we had the LED. Oh my gosh, I hate thunderstorms, so.
That's right.
Okay.
Right, that's true.
So, thank you, Gaston, for actually calling our attention to it earlier, but exactly, the strike-throughs are changes, to existing, as it's stated in the header, section 1. Strike-throughs are removed and underlined is new text that's added. This is, as I had alluded to a number of meetings ago, work to develop, updated code to include, LED lighting in our ordinance. Martha, since we have you and have the benefit, sorry to call on you and surprise you, but I think for the benefit of the board and anybody who may watch, there are a number of considerations that we had talked about. You know, we've gone back and forth a bit with our planners about considering broadening the ordinance to include various definitions. We went back and forth on, you can get very technical with this, you can stay very simplistic with this. We mostly wanted a user-friendly ordinance, but if you wanted to speak any more and characterize anything differently than what I'm saying, I think everybody would benefit. Please.
Okay.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. Okay, well, everybody knows the existing ordinance that we have is like 2 little tiny paragraphs in the zoning ordinance. And the main problem with it was it didn't include LED lighting. And every single application that comes before the board requests that waiver. And it is this, it's the current state, and the waiver's always granted. So we went over and over. I'm not gonna get electrocuted. So, this went back and forth with Paul Phillips' office, and Elizabeth Laney kept sending me ordinances from other townships, and I was trying to sift through them, and she was asking me, what should we put in? Now, neither one of us are lighting people, but these were written by lighting engineers, so we looked through them. Some of them are very complicated, and they get into very complex stuff, and as we were reading them, we realized a lot of these lighting ordinances that she was providing for us to read and sift through were for townships that were further west in New Jersey. They had a lot of dark sky initiative things, and we're here in Millburn. There's lights all over the place. We can see the lights from New York City. You can see them from your house. So, I mean, not that dark sky initiative is a bad thing, but in this town, we talk about LED lighting. So, as a result, I was talking to Alex one day, and he's like, we just got to get this done. So he took the 2 paragraphs, and all he did was he put a comma somewhere, he added LED, and handed it to me and said, what do you think? We can just get this passed. So I looked at it and I said, you know, if that's what he wants to do, that's fine, but it would still have to go through this process of the township committee and the planning board. So I thought, if we're gonna change this, and we have to go through the process anyway, why don't we add some things in here and make it a little more clear? So that's when I broke it into these, you know, I first gave it a purpose statement, which, you know, I came up with it, I cobbled it together from other ordinances that I had read. You guys can change it however you want. I don't really care, it's not gonna hurt my feelings or anything. So I gave it a purpose statement, and then I listed what couldn't be done I broke it into 2 zoning categories. So I listed all the commercial zones and the multifamily, the R8 zone, and then all the basic residential zones, because those requirements are pretty minor. So, and the other thing,
Flash flood.
flash flood, okay. Everybody go to high.
Everyone's phone's gonna start buzzing now.
The other thing I did is I figured, like the lighting plan we saw tonight and that everyone looked at, it did have all of these elements on it, but I wanted to just sort of codify what elements should be included on a lighting plan. So that's basically what I did when I put this thing together. So here it is. Read it and weep or whatever.
Thank you, Martha. Appreciate the background is helpful.
Okay, you can't change it.
Really?
Can't change, it's
Oh,
been
you
read.
can't change it.
Committee,
Yes.
that's not what I'm.
Right, you had the first reading,
We had the first reading last night.
right, which doesn't mean that anything couldn't change, of course, but.
Well, right, I mean, if we wanna change substantively, then we would just revise it and do a new first read.
That's right.
So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Just we have to hear more LED applications.
Yes, but. Okay. So, that said, thank you, right, it's the sort of the Goldilocks approach, it's not too little and it's not too much, we hope this is just right.
Kind of, you know, I didn't wanna get too complex.
You like that,
You
I
like,
like
it's really elegant.
Yeah, that's all right.
You know, in this town, everything's developed already, so we're, you know, we may tear a building down and put another building up and, of course, improve the lighting when you do that, but we're not putting brand new developments in and huge shopping malls and things like that that are going on in other parts of the state but aren't going on.
Right, where they're looking to regulate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sorry, Mark.
Quick question. How often do you get requests that, for lighting that exceed the 10-foot candle max?
How often do we hear applications? I think what I recall, just from my memory, is that there's the average foot candles, which is like, it can't exceed one.
Yeah.
And that I feel like is what we've come across a couple times in terms of the variance requests. But that's just from my memory of the last couple of years. And certainly anytime somebody's looking to just use LED, even if it's in compliance and not hitting a maximum, just LED itself is a trigger at this point. So this would relieve us of that.
Is your question directed as whether ten is an appropriate, max?
I think this, you know, they made a very compelling argument, when I guess it was increased to, it was an increase in the 23, was it foot candles at one point, but it was gonna be directionally.
Right, on the ground level.
Right, of sort of an intense use.
Right, for foot traffic,
Some
primarily.
are about exceptions, especially if they're in schools or high vandal type areas.
Right. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I felt the testimony, but I didn't have a problem with that, but they were willing to.
Is it appropriate to add language that there could be increases, expanding,
Well,
whatever?
I think, the reality is that even if it's not in here, any of the lighting plans are still gonna have to come to you for approval. So I think at that point, if you have a situation where it is a high vendor area, or an area that you feel does need some more foot candles, we would deal with that. So I don't know that it's necessary.
Right, I think Mark is saying, is there a way to make it so you don't have to request the waiver, but I think that's the reason I sort of have this in place, is my take.
Yeah, just, Martha, just, for reference, when you were going through the other, ordinances, can you just tell us what other townships or municipalities that you feel are comparable to, just the ones that are comparable to Millburn? Does Maplewood have one, or South Orange,
No, there
or
was
Springfield,
nothing
or?
close. They were
Okay.
all like, I think one of them might have been in Cumberland County, I mean, they were not,
Cumberland,
they were not,
okay,
you know,
yeah. I
it
mean,
wasn't
Cumberland would,
Summit, it wasn't Westfield,
Didn't Madison have, it was like 11 or 17
Chatham was one, I
pages?
think.
does
One-
Chatham have one?
oh yeah,
Did you wait?
Madison was one of the ones that was referenced, now
Yeah.
I don't think I ever got that.
Yeah, I think it was beyond anything necessary.
What about,
That's the way I felt reading some of these.
Yeah.
but there were some that were on this, on this side of the equation. Were there any that were, a little bit less intensive? Not talking about the lighting,
You
but,
can't get much less intensive than what we already have.
no, that's not what I meant. What I meant was there an LED ordinance that wasn't as verbose, that wasn't as restrictive, or didn't have, all the elements that something like Madison
I
had?
think there might have been some, but when we saw them and they just did so much as just say an LED is one of the permitted uses, we didn't draw them. And we were looking for ones that had definitions, purpose, I think we went, so when we saw something simplistic, which I think we saw a handful of
Okay,
them.
do you remember any
What
other
they were?
town?
I don't
No,
know
no,
what they were.
any other township that was comparable to this one, Ben?
I remember we looked at Summit because they had They had done their
They
master
had-
plan effort all.
And they have an LED ordinance?
I believe they include LED.
Okay. All right.
So what we're just asked to say, is this consistent with the master plan or not inconsistent with the master plan?
It is not.
And I think it is. It's not consistent,
Not
so we
inconsistent.
do
Was this
yay,
one,
nay, or roll call? How do
You
we, we do roll call.
wasn't this one of the items that we discussed in the review?
In the master
In the
plan
master plan?
reexam?
Yeah.
It was a recommendation,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is
I do-
highly consistent with our
Yeah.
master
A
plan.
question now that we're
reexam.
striking out the signs constructed, whatever, for the street graphics shall not be illuminated. Now they are able to be illuminated in zones R3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, correct? All residential zones,
I
is
believe
that?
other provisions in the sign portion of the ordinance which address that, but for some reason we took that here.
So it's being removed from the lighting ordinance,
But
but it's
it's
in the
covered somewhere
signs.
else.
Yeah.
And not covered in the zones R8, B1 in the lighting ordinance.
The street graphics
Mhm.
section, yeah. I think it doesn't affect those lower density residential zones, so that's why it was removed from there.
Well, that's what,
Yeah.
well, that's why I was wondering, though, I don't want
I have
one
it
one of
here,
these
actually.
signs in my neighborhood, you know,
Understood.
or on my house, or, yeah, anywhere. So, if, as long as it's in there, that's good, then I think it agrees with
I can find it.
the master plan.
Right, and he's just trying to clarify that,
And then, the other thing is, that we list incandescent LED lighting.
show him.
I am not compliant with 512.2 at all. I don't have the sign, so that's not a problem. I may have some fluorescent lighting outside. I don't think any of my bulbs are shielded. They probably are warm and neutral white. I don't know what that means exactly, but I'm not compliant with this. And I don't think
Right.
90% of the
It would be
properties
for
are.
new.
So I actually have a question in light of the testimony from tonight. You're talking about shielding, and he testified that you don't necessarily have to have shielding in order to have it not,
Because of the way I think the lenses are in LED
Said you
lights,
couldn't
they
shield it.
Yeah, that you
sort of,
don't
they
shield.
provide their own internal shielding to direct the light source.
So it's internal.
right, so it's internal shield, and that would qualify as shielding in this, under this ordinance?
I guess it would, but we're not just allowing LED lighting in the ordinance. so-
No, but you're requiring shielding. So the question I have is, would the type of lighting that they talked about tonight be consistent with this ordinance?
Would they have to have a variance for
Or
shielding?
would they have to, right,
Or a
would they
waiver,
have to
whatever.
have some sort of a waiver or something
I
for
think they would just
shielding?
provide testimony to state that, you know,
But then would they
incandescent
have to,
needs
like-
shielding,
Right,
LED
but then
maybe
I
doesn't.
don't even know if it's a waiver or a variance at this point from an ordinance that requires shielding. That's my
I
question.
see what
mean,
you're
is
saying,
it-
because it's saying,
Let's
Is
be clear.
it, yes, is shielding necessarily, additional shielding required, or is there a way that you can say, shall we limit to LED, which is, well, it says is shielded to prevent glare, right? Or is that
Mhm.
also in the
Yes.
other one as well, is it all? So I guess it doesn't require additional shielding.
Well, it says all area lighting for parking lots and security shall provide translucent fixtures with shields around the light source.
Okay.
On the 512.1 first
Yeah, with
section.
shield, that's right, with shields around the light source, so that's the question is, that's the one, right?
Yeah,
Is
so,
would tonight's, what was testified to tonight, would that meet the standard of this ordinance?
Yeah, I think it
Okay,
yeah.
that's my question. Because it seems like this is not the first time that we've had parking lot lighting, that they talk about the light, the internal shields, right?
and I think it's for us to interpret that as, to prevent light trespass across property boundaries. So if and when we see light trespass, that's where we would recommend shielding, and then if their testimony were to say, we don't, then the fix is either you shift it as what they did tonight, or they deal with it in some manner.
I'm good with that, I
think
just wanna
that's-
make sure
yeah,
we're
yeah.
thinking
No, I
about
think that's a
this.
close read.
The only thing, and this is gonna, because, like, for example, this application is in a residential district.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's House of Worship is in residential district, so
Right.
They were in R4 as well.
It's in that zone, it's obviously not, that's the zone it's in. All
I'm
of
also
our houses
trying to
in
think
North
about
Shore
the,
are in residential district.
Well, could you call it these zones, blah, 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 and non-residential properties in
Yeah.
zones?
Right,
and-
yeah.
Commercial or, you know.
Well, non-residential, because, I don't know,
Non-residential,
yeah, non-residential properties in zones, R3 through 7, you could do that too, you could
Can you do that? Can you stipulate as such?
Why not?
I don't,
I think you can do whatever you want,
Okay.
if somebody challenges it.
So somehow we'll just relay that, I don't know.
Right, sort of like the way you related last time,
Yeah.
right?
you know.
Because again,
Well-
is that a substantive? Would that be substantive, or would that sort of just
following
be?
that discussion.
I am.
No, I mean, do you have any
I don't-
comments on it?
Well, I think the point is well made, but I think it would be handled by, you know, a non-residential use that's in the R3, R4, R5, R6, R7, they'd come in with the application and they'd say, we want a waiver from those provisions and this is what we want to do. And guess what? We're going to comply with 512.1. And if they come in and say, we're not gonna do that, we're gonna do something else, we can deny that waiver,
Okay.
you know, and have them not do anything. So, I mean, I think that it will work itself out.
It doesn't eliminate them having to come in over the
Well, not
LED,
that
but,
It sounds like,
but,
Right.
yeah.
it sounds like we
Exactly.
can't eliminate them from coming in
Totally.
anyway.
Right,
We're just permitting them to use LED lighting.
Yes.
right.
So Alex was right, we could have just had a sentence that said, an LED light is permitted.
We added a little more. Okay, I made it.
Mark, you-
Appreciate it.
Is it-
Nice job,
do you need
Martha.
to add a line in there saying LED lights contribute to, up to 75% reduction in energy demand? Because that's one of the most important attributes. We've all had blackouts over the last 3 weeks.
So you could put
In the
that in the,
purpose
you could
sentence.
put that in
In
the
the
statement of the
purpose
purpose.
sentence.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you could do that on the purpose.
yeah, yeah. There you go.
That's a big one.
And that's, they always mention that reason why they're using LEDs.
We can
It says to
make that
promote conservation
recommendation
here
to
efficiently.
the township committee, and they can decide whether they want to
Yeah.
amend
Right,
the
of
ordinance
course.
before they adopt it.
I mean, it does say, yeah,
Yeah.
when Miriam just said, just to promote conservation through efficient lighting design. So it's not as specific, but that is
Energy, through energy efficient lighting design, would that be better?
Yeah. That's true.
To promote conservation
Just
and
not
reduce
lighting.
energy demand through
Can't see.
efficient lighting design? Okay.
You can add, which contributes to blackouts.
Don't, hey, stop
Yeah.
that.
call it a win.
Right.
Stop, Mark.
Okay, thank you, so you got those,
Don't want any bad juju there.
we just
No,
talked
well,
about,
I think we need a motion on the floor here to make a determination that the ordinance is not inconsistent with the master plan, and make a recommendation that the township consider adding to the purposes of the section 512, a provision explaining that the use of LED lighting will reduce energy demand, among other things that are in there, and leave it up to the scrivener who's going to put it together as to where they're going to insert it and how they're going to word it. I think we just give them that concept, we don't have to write it for them.
Okay.
great, and then with regards to the non-residential use, I think we decided to leave that as is. Okay,
So move.
Okay.
Cheryl's moving tonight.
Second.
Daniel Bear,
Yes.
Elaine Becker,
Yes.
Carol Gerstein.
Yes.
Diane Agel,
Yes.
Ashton Hopper,
No,
Jorge Mastriano,
Yes.
Mark Madslow,
Yes.
Miriam Salerno,
Yes.
Beth Zoll.
Yes.
This is my week. I moved every single thing last night, and now everything tonight this is my week for
You're
moving.
moving it.
That's it.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, our next planning board will be August 14th, 7:30 PM in Town Hall. Night. Good luck. It's nice.
And that's all I'm saying. Yeah.